going on? Welcome to a brand new episode of Breakaway Coverage. I'm your host, Giancarlo Nadeau. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the athletic therapist for the Abbotsford Pilots, the Chilliwack Jets, and whatever else the PGHL requires of her, Kristalee Walchuk. Kristalee, thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start by finding out where you were born and where you grew up.
Born in New West, grew up in Mission, BC, till from 7 to when I left for school. So
Of course, you are the athletic therapist for a couple of the hockey teams. Was hockey always something that you wanted to be a part of?
not really, never played it growing up. Not a very good skater myself, but it just kind of how the motions fell, and it just kind of became where I ended up. And now I wouldn't go anywhere else. That's for sure.
Did you play any hockey growing up?
Nope.
Cool. What about hockey? Like watching hockey. Did you have any favorite NHL teams?
You know what? I'm an underdog story and I love Seattle, so the Kraken are my team. I don't know actually anything about what's going on with the team if you were to ask me right now. But when Vegas when they went through the Stanley Cup and they came in too, but Seattle's my town, so I got to stick with the Kraken.
There we go. And you know what? I'll be honest, that's a pretty popular answer with the people I've been speaking with. They're just talking about Seattle and they're breaking a lot of barriers. They're setting the standard for how NHL teams should operate. You take a look at, the fact that they've hired the first ever full-time female coach and so much other things as well. The Seattle Kraken, they're a pretty popular answer and rightfully so. What about a favorite NHL player? Is there anybody you liked watching growing up or like watching now?
Well, I'm kind of biased with that because I have some old players since I've been around for forever that are in there. So I'm just going to have to shout out to Dennis Cholowski. He's currently just in New Jersey, just got traded there, but he's allowed me to come watch him play some games, and it's been a thrill to see him from junior all the way up.
Awesome. What about a female in hockey? Maybe a trainer or a player, anybody that you can, think about growing up?
If I'm being honest, I don't watch hockey outside the rink, so no, not really. I've gone to a couple of the women's games when they're in town and all that stuff, but names and players, I can only keep the ones I know in my head.
Well, it's a good time to be a female in hockey for sure with the, PWHL where it's at, but it hasn't always been easy to be a female in sports. Talk to me about some of the obstacles that you faced and maybe continue to face.
Yeah, when I first started, there was not very many of us, at least in the junior levels with young men. Anyways, honestly, the biggest obstacle is dressing rooms and stuff like that. Being a female, obviously, I avoid certain areas and certain situations where some other equipment managers and stuff. It's just course for the pickings, but overall I've had generally good experiences. Like right now I work with great coaches, great players. As soon as you just set up the boundaries and let them know where they can and cannot be and where I am and I am not, and where they can find me, that's all that really kind of matters. But Bears, I mean, big things with hockey, like I said, I never played, right? So when I came in, it was expected that I knew equipment as well, and that of course was a huge learning curve for me. But now I can say that I've learned from some great people, had great mentors, and so they really helped me with that. Yeah, I would say those are the biggest learning curves for me.
Well, when I think of female trainers in the PGHL, I think of you automatically, but there's a couple others in the league as well. What's it like knowing that, the people, what you're doing, there's other people doing that are females just like you?
It's great. I'm a big firm believer of if you have the education and you're qualified to do the job, you should be given the opportunity. And it's great to see that there has been, and since I started, honestly, like I was one of one, and now it's there's a lot more females than there is males. And with all due respect, that have earned the place. So it's great to see. Like I said, if you're good at what you do, you should be able to get the opportunity to do so.
I couldn't agree more. What advice would you have for somebody interested in becoming an athletic therapist?
Well, know what you're doing. It's a lot of work. It's a huge commitment, and I think that's the biggest part of it all. And I'm a firm believer: you commit 100%, or you don't commit. And I find in a team setting, it's kind of needed. So if you're willing to commit the 100%, go all in. It's rewarding. It's definitely very busy, but rewarding, and you get a lot out of the players, the coaching staff. You have a lot of laughs. You have a lot of sleepless nights, and you have a lot of sorting out your own life and giving up a lot during the season for sure. But I wouldn't change it if I had the choice. Keep coming back. So
There you go. Keep coming back and keep winning the Trainer of the Year. It's absolutely incredible. I talked earlier about the PWHL and how it's spotlighting females in hockey. Do you know anything about that league? Have you heard anything about it?
no, other than just it's, obviously it's growing, and with the increase of female hockey players moving up and now being able to have a bit higher opportunity to play, which is great, right? It's always good to see that they can continue on their dreams, like going from junior up to university up into, the amateur hockey league. You can see it with the other junior players. So you see more colleges becoming more available with their women's sports, specifically in hockey as well. So it's just great to see that more people are doing it. I think before there was maybe not such a demand, but now that more women are being more actively involved in sport, they just had a demand to do it, and it's great that they are doing it.
100%. Do you think there's still, work to be done, progress to be made before we can see more women involved in sports?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, culturally, society-wise, I mean, it is tough. Like I said, I was never a team sport person. I was always told to focus on academics growing up, and that's by no default. I mean, I was involved in sport, but not team sport. But I think it's a huge growing factor for the youth. It's you learn a lot from a team dynamic that's outside your family, which is your second family, really. So I feel like both young gentlemen and young women should be involved in that. So it's great to see.
100%. And, being in the PGHL, you're working with males, but I do want to ask you a couple questions about females, kind of the similar age of the players that you work with in the PGHL. February 24th to March 2nd was Eating Disorders Awareness Week. Just a couple stats I want to bring up here and just kind of get your thoughts on it. Eating disorders amongst girls that rose from 60% in 2017 to 77% in 2023. Young women almost twice as likely to have a possible eating disorder than a young man. And 61% of girls say that they feel judged when doing sports or exercise. Can you relate to that? What are your thoughts, that come to mind when I bring that up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see it quite regularly. I mean, in general, I see athletes struggling with not just struggling with eating, but struggling to figure out what their diets are. And honestly, it comes back to that whole team mentality and that coaching mentorship. I am a strong advocate of proper food at proper times, not just for myself, but for them and for everyone in general. But I find the general population also doesn't really understand diet and nutrition, which then trickles down from family members to children, and then of course the pressures of being a team sport, especially as a young girl in her vulnerable times of adolescence, right? So I just think it comes down to having the strong leadership, which what team sport can give you, whether it's hockey or something else, or just a coach and a strong advocate to help educate that, like, not eating anything is actually worse for you. And if it comes down to weight gain and all that stuff, it's actually, I mean, the literature's out there. It's not actually beneficial for you in any way, shape, or form. And actually, if you eat right at the right times, you're definitely going to just be better, healthy overall. So it's a sad stat to see. Personally, I eat when I eat, and I've never felt that way personally, but I've seen people struggle with it, and both young men and women actually. But
Oh, 100%. And, taking a look at those stats, it's crazy. It's not something you think about until it's either yourself or someone kind of dealing with that issue or in that situation. So what's the advice that you would give somebody who might be, one of those people that I kind of just brought up?
just reach out to someone you trust, right? If you're struggling to how you feel person, like physically, and it could come down to the fact that you're eating the wrong things at the wrong time that make you feel sluggish even. And as soon as you switch that around, or you just a juice in the morning or a certain thing that takes it away. Or I know about personally, I've done a lot of cleansing of my diet, so taking out a lot of things and then re-adding things and seeing what triggers things and triggers not things. Obviously I have long days, so things like I don't eat rice anymore. It's just I took it out. It was making me sluggish, and the night and day difference. So just talk to someone with experience, talk to someone, and honestly, just do the work to learn to love yourself as well. Because you are you, and you're great. Everyone brings something to the table, regardless of how you look and feel, and make sure you have people in your life that support that.
I couldn't agree more. 2022, 23, 2023, 24, back-to-back titles as the Trainer of the Year. How proud of you about being able to accomplish something like that.
Well, my mother is definitely proud. She has photos of it of in her living room. Honestly, it's just great. When I started off in hockey, I never thought I'd be quite recognized for anything. To be honest, my players and my coaching staff are amazing. They praise me regularly, which is great. They help. They see when I'm having those long days, and they bring the coffees and shout outs to bringing me the food and the Red Bull when needed. But it's great to see that the league. Recognizes people who put in the work, and I've been in this league and other leagues long for a long time, so it's great to see, and it's good to see like me winning it, and to when it happens, other people reach out, how did you get this or opportunity, or how did you do that, or it's great to see where you can help mentor the young ones, or the new trainers in the league as well.
Well, when somebody asks you that question, how did you get this? How did you get this opportunity? What's your answer? What's your answer for somebody interested in kind of following in your footsteps?
I'm not a very good person to talk about myself. I usually just say like I just work hard and I kind of know the right people, but quite honestly, it's just a lot of hard work. I don't you can't do it for the glory. You got to just kind of hockey is they're huge chatterboxes, right? So you help one kid, and quite honestly, it's you got to help some kid in one way, and then he tells a friend, and a coach knows about it, and that's kind of how it works. I also, go and introduce myself to people. People know me because I let them know me. And so I would say just don't be intimidated to let people know you, and be proud of your craft, and be, accomplished with what you know how to do, and own it. Like, I don't always know everything, but I definitely come in there with the confidence that I can do my job and do it well. And people obviously feel the same way.
No, most certainly, definitely something that was very well deserved. Fingers crossed you can go, win it 3 years in a row, but
Going for three.
doing it three in a row, I like it. This might be a hard question for you to answer, but what's, one of your favorite parts about being an athletic therapist?
It's kind of the day. The day is never the same. You never know what you're gonna get. Keeps me on my toes, keeps me thinking. But also just the community, the family, I call it, the team environment. You're with them sometimes 16 hours a day, and it's a lot. So you got to keep each other laughing, and you got to keep each other kind of accountable for things. But I can say I don't treat it as work. It's a lot of laughs, it's a lot of hard work. But the kids also make it rewarding. They're, again, not only just thankful, but they're funny. They bring things, and you just are part of them growing into young adults and young functioning people in society. And it's great to see. And when you actually see them grow up, and like I just spent the weekend with someone who plays for the AHL now, and he invited me to a game and got me a ticket, and it was great to see. And some people, you just keep them as family. Not You don't have that relationship with everyone, but it's great to see that these kids remember you from before, and that you've added and contributed to their life and growing on into their masters and future careers. So.
I know where you're coming from and you say that because even as a broadcaster in the PGHL, I've experienced the same thing. It's the coolest thing to find out where families are listening from. We, have families from all across the globe watching our games. And to know that my voice is in their homes is a pretty cool feeling. Just like, for you, you're a part of that kid's life and that kid's, season. And as well, like you just mentioned, not only that year, but sometimes for many years after that. Um,
Yeah, weddings too. Like I had a wedding in the summer, invited the family farm, and the family just opens welcome arms and always invite me back every year. It's those relationships that kind of make it definitely worthwhile.
Of course, it's not as easy as some people might think to be an athletic trainer. So talk to me about the schooling that you had to go through to get to where you are.
Well, I guess it depends on like which, who you are and what you are. There's a Hockey Canada has a minimum requirement of an online course, and that's kind of the baseline for it actually. But a lot of us, we have everybody from, degrees in a sports related field, kinesiology, human kinetics, up into athletic therapy, which is a diploma. You can get things like massage, a diploma as well. We do have a couple chiropractors that help out in the league as well. So obviously that's a doctrine. So it can kind of venture from everywhere. I'm a strong advocate of continuing to learn. So, I don't just leave that my degrees and my diplomas. You always kind of keep going. You can always learn how to tape something different. You can always learn, go to conferences, things like that. There's a big athletic therapist conference that gets put out. So yeah, all those types of things. Plus, you still don't know enough.
Time for some stories here, Kristalee. Let's
Okay.
when you first joined the PJHL. What do you remember about that first game?
Terrified, actually. And I remember that someone needed their skate stoned, and I was like, I have no idea what that even means. But stubborn as I was, they grabbed a stone, and I just did what they said to do, and I quickly then went and researched how to sharpen a skate after that. But yeah, I remember it just me standing there looking terrified, thinking I was going to get hit with a puck, and also having skate problems.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a couple stories like that because, like you mentioned, you've been in the league for a couple of years. Just talking about the players in the league, being able to work with them so closely, what's something that you noticed about them that a fan at home or a fan in the stands might not know?
That they're kids, quite honestly. Like, even, I mean, it's playoffs now, and it's the heat is up, and you hear parents and kids or people in the stands yelling things, and to me it's like that's a kid, right? And I feel like sometimes they forget, but generally they are great kids, and I have had great experiences. They go out on the ice and they leave it all out there and they play hard, but they come off of it and they have lives and personal matters and injuries that they're all working through in school and girlfriends and homework, and ultimately at the end of the day they're just kids. So that's kind of what I notice the most, and see that difference is that people sometimes forget that they're either tall and look adults out there, but they're still under, there's 20 and under.
There's two events I want to bring up with you, the BCHC Top Prospects game and, of course, the All-Star game. The BCHC game, you got the opportunity to work with Jordana Robinson from the Langley Trappers. What was that experience like?
It was great. I mean, Jordana and I talk regularly. We exchange ideas, and she's always. I mean, she was new in the league, and she always reached out, and I was totally willing to sit with her. But that was the first time I actually had help with a trainer. The first 2 years, I was kind of by myself, kind of doing my own thing, which is strange for me because I'm so used to doing my own thing. But Jordana was right there, willing to help out and do kind of whatever was needed. It was great to have. I mean, we were at the Langley rink, so that's her home rink, and yeah, I've worked with both, the Rivermen there before, and have been there for many years. But it was still nice to have her support as well as the Trapper support, just being there and being hometown if I needed anything, and she was more than accommodating. So it was great. Yeah, we don't get to spend a lot of time as trainers together either. It's a quick, hey, check in, check in. Do I need this, that? So it was actually nice to spend some time and get to know her as a person.
That's awesome. The memories and the connections you get to make doing what you do. The last event, of course, the All-Star game. I know it was a little stressful in that coaching room in terms of the lineup and stuff like that, but you guys managed to put together a good team and play a good game.
Yeah, yeah, it was one of those things. I was involved with the All-Star game previously before when they used to run, and I could definitely see the change and the difference of how the league just kind of took it and changed things around for the better. I had 11 players in that All-Stars game on my team, and they enjoyed the experience, and that's really all that matters. So as long as they had a good time, and it was great to see a lot of them were our friends on the different teams as well, and you usually see them play against each other, but it was great to see them come together, and just kids that they played in minor with, or all that kind of stuff that actually got to enjoy, in their final years of the PHL. So I think it was a good memory for them as well.
Well, one of the teams you work for, the Abbotsford Pilots, boy, oh boy, they had a number of kids on that team and they showed up that night. It must have made you pretty proud.
It did. It did. You see the potentials in the kids, and sometimes what shows on the ice isn't always what that they can have. But like I said, between the kind of the fun that they had and the experiences they were receiving, it's of course obviously nice to see kids that you personally know and have had spent a lot of time with get those types of experiences. Like I get them, and they always were like, "You get to experience these," and it was great to share that actually with them for sure. And it's great to have the leadership in the room. They know how I operate. They know how I like things done. And, they showed up for me that game as well, letting the other guys know kind of how I operate things, and everything was smooth. So,
Looking back, did you ever think this would be something that you would be doing? Being a
um, Yeah, I have like a first responder background. I was a lifeguard, kind of growing up as a kid, so first response kind of always kind of been my thing. I kind of run towards danger instead of the opposite way, and sports and that team mentality is a kind of a thing. So it just kind of worked out. How I ended up in hockey was just kind of coincidence, but I kind of realized through working and doing some stuff with other sports, but somehow the personality and just kind of worked out for me. And I definitely wouldn't go any other way. I take the summers off. I don't do baseball. I enjoy my Junes and Julys off. And it kind of works, keeps me busy during the winter seasons when it's not very nice outside. So,
One more question for you, and thank you once again for joining me today. Just to kind of wrap everything up, I'll just give you the opportunity to, thank the individuals who need to be thanked for getting you to where you are today.
You know what? It's kind of I would kind of I thought think back to this question, and it's my mother was always hardworking. She always like enforced that hard work will pay off, and so did my father. And I can say that 100% in this career is kind of what it is. I came in with swinging, I had something to prove, and also the people that allowed me to be in it. My practicum was with Jack from the Pilots. I saw something just posted online that they were looking for a trainer, and he gave me a chance. And if I didn't get that chance, I may not be here. Those type of things. Paulie from Exceed, he allowed me in and helped me do dry lands and stuff with that with the players, and so that got me in and my name out there. And as soon as someone knows you, you know somebody knows somebody, and that's how I worked up in this league. So, without those opportunities, but mainly without my parents pushing me to just be a hard worker and just to go in there with confidence and know that you know what you're doing. So
Awesome. Great answer. Pleasure to have you on. I'm so glad we were able to make it happen.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Kristalee Walchuk, back-to-back trainer of the year in the Pacific Junior Hockey League. I'm John Carlin Ado. Thank you so very much for joining us for this episode. We got new episodes coming out each and every week. Make sure you follow along at Breakaway Coverage. On behalf of Kristalee and John Carlo, thank you once again for joining us. We'll be back next week.